We have done our best, but the government in Juba is not actually working for the benefit of the people of South Sudan. They are waging a proxy war, okay, to execute the projects of the Zionist movement or the extreme ultra-right organizations in the West.
The Zionist, where are they getting the weapons from?
They are getting the weapons mainly from Israel, and part of the money that of their money, which was allocated for projects, part of it also they use it for buying arms. So, yeah, that their main source is the Israeli government. They are the only government that announced that they will open their embassy in Jerusalem rather than in Tel Aviv, and they are having very good relation with these people, to the extent that they became their puppets actually, in terms of executing their designs against Sudan and other Muslim and Arab countries.
Do you think President Obama understands the situation as you're describing it? Certainly George Clooney, who has been on everyone's screens as regards international television, he very much part of the Save Darfur movement and so forth, having dinner with President Obama, I don't know, 3 times in a month or something. What do you feel about the influences on President Obama in U.S. foreign policy?
When somebody like Clooney meets Obama, for sure he will influence him negatively, but he is not representing the truth. Clooney is trying to put a humanitarian face to his fame. He is actually representing the Zionist movement and the Zionist agenda rather than the Western value, because the Zionist agenda is not necessarily representing the core of the Western values. Western values doesn't allow settlements like the ones that's happening in Palestine, and Western values don't allow demolishing of houses and killing of people. Thousands of children and women has been killed in Gaza.
Well, then couldn't one criticize...
No, I mean...
one could criticize President Bashir, then, for allowing, in effect, an Israeli proxy state in such a central strategic part of Africa.
No, Clooney did not denounce what Israel is doing. Okay, he is just representing the Zionist movement, okay, and trying to put a human face to his fame. And actually, even Save Darfur Coalition was originally established by 2 American Zionist organizations, and he is part of this coalition, and they are trying to pressurize us to allow some NGOs to work in Sudan. We have banned a lot of bad NGOs, okay, from working in Sudan, because they are the one who usually prolong the conflict and the war. They have done it in Darfur, and before they have done it in Southern Sudan.
Give us an insight into, say, the Sudanese cabinet. Do you find it odd that you end up having to discuss a Hollywood actor and the Zionist influence on Hollywood, in a sense, which is well known? We don't have many Hollywood actors talking against Israel, because many would say privately they wouldn't get work in Hollywood. Do you find it odd? I mean, how do you view it in say, in Khartoum? What do they talk about when this erupts in the international news agenda?
They are laughing at it. They are laughing at it.
How are the figures so different, though, between the UN figures and the Sudan's government's figures? I mean,
actually, the figure is huge, yeah, but usually, there are, some quarters who like to play with figures.
Well, the UN's figure for Darfur, obviously taking the whole time scale into account, and every Reuters or Associated Press wire, whatever happens in your country, it will always say, the UN says 300,000 were killed in Darfur, the Sudanese government say 10,000. Why the mismatch?
There is an organization here called Waging Peace. They tried to run an advertisement in the British newspaper here, and the British Advertising Authority ruled out against publishing that advertisement and said this is a campaign, and the figures of 300 people killed in Darfur and so on and so forth are just propaganda, and they refused and they did not allow this Waging Peace organization to publish that advertisement because it is unprofessional. Nothing is substantiated. Mamdani, who is a great American professor.
We're hoping to get him on the show later in the year.
I hope so. Okay, said he wrote extensively about how these people are playing with numbers to confuse people and to garner support, humanitarian support from people. When I tell you that 300 people are killed, okay, it will be very humane. But these organizations are doing these things for their own benefits. So many organizations are demons rather than angels. I'm not saying this. Some observers, respectful people, have said it. Hancock, who was a well-known American journalist, wrote a book called Lords of Poverty, and he exposed how these people are playing with numbers, how they are manipulating the humanitarian situation to their own personal benefits.
But with respect, very few people in the general media and journalists generally seem to be reading those books or being persuaded by it. It has to be said. Let's change to energy policy, because your president did say, and it's connected with what you were just saying, about perceptions and how different groups can use news to create a poor investment climate for Sudan. How successful, what are you doing to make the investment climate better and to counter that propaganda? Because if I was another Chinese company, I know they've put $20 billion in, reading the news, why should I put money into Sudan? There's constant war.
Sudan is endowed with huge resources. We have everything from uranium up to gas and petroleum. All minerals are there, and this is one of the reasons why we are attacked, and this is one of the reasons why we are targeted. If we are very poor, we don't have anything, nobody will say anything about us. But some quarters would like to, they have this hegemony policy. They would like to control your resources. You know what happened in Iraq? Okay, because Iraq is rich. This is why it has been attacked. It's not attacked because for humanitarian purposes or to bring democracy or respect human rights. Likewise, Sudan is endowed with a lot of resources, and we are depending upon neutral people who are not ready to be influenced by this black propaganda, which is mainly a Zionist propaganda.
Okay, but what about poverty then? Because as the economic growth continues, with China obviously having such a great stake in your country, why is there so much poverty in Sudan still?
Of course there is poverty, but it's exaggerated. Listen, during the last 15 years, okay, and you can go Google what I'm telling you, we were one of the countries that has having very high rate of growth. We have reached 10% rate of growth in some years, and our average is 7% rate of growth. This is rare in today's world.
A bit better than Britain. I'll give you that.
Better than so many countries, but still the resources are meager. I mean, the financial resources are meager, okay? And the war is also taking some of these resources out of the main channel, which is the channel for development. This is why you find some poverty. But you can compare us to many other countries, you find our situation is far better than so many countries.
Is the effect of U.S. sanctions, is there an effect? I know that it was going to be the biggest sugar factory in Africa, and one of the ministers saying U.S. sanctions is having an impact. Is it having an impact?
It has some impact, but we are opening new doors. We have very good relations with the Eastern countries, Oriental countries, this China, Malaysia, India, Pakistan, and the Arab countries. So in today's world, you cannot close all doors.
So viewers shouldn't believe that every day, I mean, if one was to Google News Sudan on the main wire agencies, it would be Sudanese airstrikes on North Darfur. It would be Sudan killing people in South Kordofan. It would be basically this is the wrong view that would be being held by wire agencies. But
where are the pictures? Gaddafi blocked the internet and the telephones. Nevertheless, we used to see, the pictures of everything that was going on in Tripoli or in Benghazi or wherever. These people are just talking about bombardment, and nobody gave us a single picture, a single picture. The propaganda machine was so big, it was enough for some people to think that there is bombardment. We don't kill our people.
Thank you, Ambassador, for coming back on the show and giving us a very different perspective on your country.
Thank you very much.
Hope you enjoyed that interview with the Ambassador of Sudan, a country so demonized in the mainstream media. There was much more from the Ambassador, and you can see the full interview on the Press TV website. At least now, even corporate media recognize that South Sudan has just invaded Sudan, and not the other way around. That's it for this week. You can email us at comment@doublestandardstv.com. Well, the Queen of England has invited the dictator of Bahrain